If you're blasting off your emails to your entire list or a mishmash of different lists, you are not going to be sending to people who are actually engaged with your email all the time. When you suppress profiles, it also saves you money. There's no point just keeping all these profiles on. You just got to cut them loose. Okay, so in this video, we're looking at suppressing profiles. And then also later on in the video, we're going to talk about how to unsuppress profiles in a safe way. But first of all, suppressing profiles. So why do we suppress profiles? How to create an engaged segment. I mean, this is super important, and there's still a lot of people missing it. And they're still sending off to the whole list or weird list or whatever. Super simple way to create an engaged segment that you send to all your campaigns every time. How to create an unengaged segment so then you can, suppress those profiles. Then we'll talk about the sunset flow, which is basically a way to give people a last chance to re-engage with your email. It's not really a big money earner. It can earn some money, but you got to give people one last chance. And this is a good thing to do. We'll talk about bounce profiles in case you're getting a lot of bot traffic. So this is super important if you're getting bot traffic. And then, finally, when to reactivate these suppressed profiles in the future or, at a busy time or whatever. So let's get into it. All right. So here we go. So why do you suppress profiles? Well, first of all, it's for deliverability. If you're blasting off your emails to your entire list or a mishmash of different lists, I mean, I've seen this so many times where people are not using segments, they're just using lists. You are not going to be sending to people who are actually engaged with your email all the time. But by creating a proper engaged segment, you know that every time their campaigns are going to people who want to receive your emails and want to read them and click on them. So mega, mega important that. That is like deliverability 101. And then after that, when you suppress profiles, it also saves you money. There's no point just keeping all these profiles on. Maybe you got like 50,000 profiles, but there's only 10,000 engaged people. There's no point of that. You just got to cut them loose. I know it feels weird. I know it's like, you get this FOMO. Oh, but what if one day, no, forget it. Eventually you're just going to have to cut them loose. All right. So let's get into creating an engaged segment. So if you are using lists only, or you're blasting to your entire list of people all the time, please watch this. This is super, super important. It's super simple as well. So you go into Klaviyo, and this is just what I called it. You can call it what you want. 90-day opened or clicked all users. I don't know why that excluding suppresses there, whatever. Some old thing I put. But basically, this is anyone who's opened an email or clicked an email in the last 90 days. But I also like to put one other thing in there as well, placed order in the last 30 days. So people who have placed an order, but they haven't opened emails recently in the last 30 days, they still might be a bit hot. You still want to give them a chance. And you may notice here, I've got this MailChimp stuff. So in this particular account, I migrated them over from MailChimp. Now, I could probably get rid of these now, but it doesn't hurt. But if you have migrated from MailChimp or another software, an email software that integrates with Klaviyo, this is a great way to get the engagement data straight away. So that's what we did in the beginning with this client. We used the MailChimp engagement data and then stacked it on top of the Klaviyo engagement data just to make sure that we're getting everybody who's really engaged. Because in the beginning with Klaviyo, we didn't have a huge amount of data. So we had to use the MailChimp data. So this is it really, right? So 90-day clicked, 90-day opened, again with the MailChimp one, and then placed order last 30 days. And then most importantly, can receive email marketing. Okay. You got to put that. And really that should be in every segment that you ever send to, unless you're actually trying to unsuppress people. And I'll get into that later. Can receive email marketing, 100% important there. All right, so just keep sending to this segment, right? Maybe you've got a really engaged list and you want to expand it a bit to 120 days. Maybe it's not so engaged and you want to reduce it a bit to 60 days, but you just judge it by your open rates. If you're getting 45%, 50% open rates, you're good to go, all right? And you could expand it a bit more, but probably around that level, you want to just stick at it. If you're getting like 60%, 70% open rates, you probably really should expand it because, you're too focused there. But then if it's like 30, 35%, you want to reduce it to like a smaller time frame just to get really those engaged people. So use this segment for the vast majority of your campaigns. Right, so let's check out an unengaged segment. So here we go. This one's a little bit different, obviously, and we got received email at least once between. So this one is really, really key. So you've got to put between 90 and then 9999, whatever. So that's basically the entire age of your business. That's like, I don't know, back in 1998, I think it is, 10,000 days ago. But we have to use the between because we have to give people a chance. So imagine they subscribed only 10 days ago or 30 days ago. And then if you use these other metrics down below, like clicked emails 0 times 90 days, opened email 0 times 90 days, if you haven't put this in here, that's going to include anybody who's subscribed even within the last day and has clicked 0 times. So this top one there is the most important. So between what someone has or not done, received email at least once between that time frame. and then clicked email 0 times, opened email 0 times in the last 90 days. And then again, can receive email marketing. So whatever, there's no point like, including people who can't receive email marketing with this. Of course, a lot of them will fit that criteria still, but you might as well put that. So that's how you create the unengaged segment. Right. And what we do with the unengaged segment is then set up a flow called the sunset flow. So here I am in a sunset flow, and let's just have a look at the trigger. So added to segment, unengaged, blah, 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 right? So that's the name of the segment. But then we got to put a lot of profile filters in. So this section here is super important because we want to basically remove them from this flow if they have done any of these actions. And then also, if they do any of those actions, they automatically come out of the segment. So if they opened email, if they clicked email, if the email, well, anyway, this is about if you sell on Amazon and eBay, you should exclude these people anyway. And then, yeah, that's probably the last one. Yeah, sorry, I got ahead of myself. So it's literally just these unless you sell on eBay and Amazon. So basically, if anyone opens or clicks in any time in this flow, boom, they're taken out of the flow and they don't receive any more of the emails. So let's take a look at the flow. So I generally like to split the first email at least into buyers and non-buyers, because obviously someone who's bought could have a higher chance of re-engaging. They bought the product, they probably liked it. I mean, hopefully you sell good products. So, they've got a better chance of re-engaging. So you may want to just talk to them a little bit differently. So even in the subject lines, I've edited here. So we've got a split test here. Sorry, a conditional split. Has placed order at least once overall time. And then obviously, yes, there it is. So in this case, I've got the subject line, where have you gone? And then have a look there. So a really engaging subject line here is where have you gone? And then we put the Klaviyo code thing, whatever it is, to get their first name in there, because that is really, really engaging. When somebody sees their name in an email, then they go, oh, this is real personal to me. Let me click on it. So, it's just a little trick, little hack to really get people to engage. So yeah, we do it. Where have you gone? And then blah, blah, blah. And, the whole email. I'm not going to open it. But basically it's just saying, hey, thanks so much for your purchase. We've got loads of new stuff. Come back and check us out. So, we're just giving them a chance. And then this one here is just about people who have, never engaged and never purchased. So, the email's a little bit different. Like, hey, were you interested at all? You came to visit our store. We've got great products. I'd really like to prove ourselves to you. So you can just change the copy a little bit. Then we wait a few days and then we say, this is our final offer. So this is where we add a code, right? So it should be a little bit juicy. These are people who have never purchased, sorry, unengaged. I know some of them have purchased, but it really should be a little bit juicy just to try and engage people there. So obviously in the last, what do we got? Oh, that's funny. This one made money, but not this one. I mean, in the whole year it will have. Let's have a look. Last 365. So last 365, nearly 2 grand there. Oh, even that one, nearly 2 grand. Well, that's funny. Look at that. I mean, so the code one where we introduced the code is actually making less money. Oh, where's that? 686. Yeah. And then the final one again as well, 200. And then that's it. So yeah, this is where we do the code, the final offer, and then this is goodbye. And we just say, this is goodbye, and your code is expiring today. So obviously look at the open rates. They are absolutely abysmal. There's nothing you could do about it. That's just the nature of the flow. But, hopefully the rest of your metrics are doing good and it will just prop it up. But this one is always going to look terrible. So then we give them 5 days as well, obviously, to open any of the other emails. And even after those 5 days, if they've not clicked, they've not done anything at all, then we do a property update and then create unengaged as true. So the only reason we do that is just to make it easy to to suppress those profiles. So basically you can just make another segment, just say, properties about someone unengaged, true, and then just suppress them. I could show you that later as well, just to make it easy. Actually, why don't we do that now? Let's do that. So when you do this, every now and again, you're just going to go into this segment, download it as a list, and then just suppress them. So unengaged. All right, so I haven't actually done this one for a while. Wait, sorry, I'm in the flows. Stupid. Right, I spelled it wrong. All right, unengaged equals true. So let's just look at the definition. Super easy. Properties about someone unengaged is true, and then Boolean. That's it. So then here we've got, what, 31,000 people. And then all you would do, so let's just say cancel. When you want to suppress these people, just do it every now and again, every month, every 2 months, whatever. You just export these people, export segment to CSV. And then just whatever the email, that's fine. Start export. And then you go over to profiles. I'll just open that in a new tab. And then view suppressed profiles and then import. So I'm not going to do it now because I need to check a few things, but then you just drag that file. Here it is. Boom. I just drag it in and then, click go and that's it. That's how you unsuppress. Sorry. I keep saying unsuppress. That's how you suppress profiles. Okay, so now we're going to look at the bouncers, right? So sometimes you get soft bouncers and then hard bouncers. I mean, with Klaviyo, they actually, I can't remember, I read it a while ago, but I think they just suppress anyone who hard bounces even once. It just takes away. But, you may as well, for safety, do this. So if you are getting a lot of bot traffic, right, and they are signing up to your email, then you want to do this, right, to get rid of them because your email metrics will be terrible if you're getting a lot of bot traffic. I actually saw an account once. I mean, I never ended up working with them, but they were getting 1,000 sessions a day from bots. It was just insane. I mean, it was probably worse. And these bots were basically going to the checkout. They checked for credit cards to see if they worked, to try and check a bunch of numbers, like randomly checking, see if they can figure out a number. And that's why they do it. And then basically, because they put a fake email address in to check this credit card in the checkout, then they're kind of like sent into the abandoned checkout flow, and then the emails start going, and then maybe it opens or whatever. I don't know. So really, really important if you are getting bot traffic. So super simple here. So what someone has or has not done, bounced email is at least 3 times overall time. So this is for the soft one. So a little bit different. Soft bouncers could be maybe someone's inbox is full or temporary error or whatever. I don't know. There's a full list, but these could be real email addresses of real people, but for some reason or another, it bounced because of, I don't know, technical error. So that's why I put for this one 3 overall times. So if it happens like 3 times, you're like, all right, this person's email there's something wrong with it, so I don't want to just keep including them in the emails. So bounce type equals soft. But then obviously with the hard one, bounced at least once, overall time equals, the hard one equals true, boom, get rid of them. And then again, can receive email marketing, like, may as well put that in, but whatever. You don't have to necessarily. So then again, you download that as a CSV file and then go to the list and segment section, go to, the profile section, view suppressed profiles, import the document, the CSV, and then boom, they're suppressed. So that's how you get rid of, the bounce profiles. All right, so now let's move on to how to unsuppress profiles and which ones to choose and then how many to choose, because it's quite a tricky area and you've got to tread carefully here. So first of all, this is a segment that you can make just to get started with, to figure out where to go from there. So basically, I like to do it with people who have placed an order, right? Obviously, people who have placed an order, they're probably the hottest people. They've bought something from you, they liked it. They just stopped opening emails. So basically, you put placed order in there, and then first of all, just put at least once overall time, and then cannot receive email marketing, and then because person is manually suppressed. So that's the ones that you have suppressed yourself. All right, so you cannot do it with people who have unsubscribed themselves. You cannot unsuppress someone who's unsubscribed themselves. That is actually illegal. You're not allowed to do that, and it's terrible anyway. You'll get spam complete like crazy. So it has to be the manually suppressed option. So in this particular account right here, we've got 22,000, but you can play with the numbers a little bit here. Imagine you wanted to say, is at least one, is at least one. So that's basically 2 orders. Oh no, sorry, at least one, that is 1 order. And then you could do with it as 2, and then obviously it's going to go down. All right, so that went down a lot. So I might want to stick with the 1 order for this one, because later on I'll show you how to integrate these people into your campaigns, but bit by bit. I mean, 2,000 or 2,800, it's just not enough. There's just no point. I mean, all right, maybe you could just do it once. But, I'd probably like to have a bigger list and then spread them out. So yeah, just play with these numbers here and, see what you get. But generally, I probably just go with the 1. Right. So what we're going to do now is use ChatGPT, right? I mean, I'm not good enough with the maths. I don't have enough, like patience to do all of this on spreadsheets and blah, blah, blah. And ChatGPT does a great job of helping you out with this. So I've got this prompt here, which seems to work pretty well. And I'm just going to go through it. And, you could just pause this video, screenshot this, whack it into ChatGPT if you want, and use it for yourself. Obviously, you have to replace the X's with your own numbers. But this is how we're going to understand how many profiles we can put, the ones who are manually suppressed, in each campaign, just to try and re-engage them. So, I have a Klaviyo account with X number of engaged profiles. So mega important to use only your engaged one here. If you tell ChatGPT your whole list size, then it's going to base it off that list size. But really, it needs to be based off the engaged people, because that is who you are generally sending campaign emails to. And then I have a segment of X size past subscribers that I manually suppressed. They were not engaging with email, whatever. And then we send X number of campaign emails per week. So I'm just going to put in some numbers here for, one that I just recently did. So engaged profiles was 32,000. This one is really old, so they have actually masses of past subscribers, was 62,000. And then we send 4 campaigns a week with this client. And then it is currently Q4. So you don't necessarily have to use this. And again, if you're watching it outside of Q4, you could just say we're about to send, a bunch of promotional emails, or we send, 10 promotional emails a year, whatever it is. You don't have to use this exact one here. Just say how many emails you want to include in these, how many people from the suppressed you want to include per email. That's what you're getting at here. So how many emails are you going to use to try and re-engage people? So in this case, I just said 8. We're currently in Q4. We'll be sending 8, number of, what the heck? 8 big promotional emails. Yeah, I did that as well there. 4. That's a bit weird. All right, let's delete that. Send 4 campaign emails a week. Yeah, okay. So attach is a screenshot of our current deliverability score. So this is really, really important bit, right? You've got to just go to the deliverability tab. I mean, I'll just show you over here. Where are we? Analytics, deliverability, right? And you just screenshot this and then put it into ChatGPT. So attaches a screenshot of our current deliverability score. I would like to try and re-engage some of the currently manually suppressed profiles by sending campaign emails to them along with our current engaged segment. All right, so we're mashing them in with the engaged people. Please let me know how many suppressed profiles I can include per big promotional email or per email, however many you decide to use, so that my deliverability score is not too badly affected. And then this last bit here is super important as well. Please assume typical engagement rates of people who have been suppressed due to not being engaged with our emails. Map out the effects sending to these suppressed profiles would have on our current metrics. So that is really important there. And luckily, when I did this before, ChatGPT got it pretty right. It was like between 5 and 10% open rate for these types of profiles. So it's there and thereabouts. So here we go. Here's one I made earlier. Right. So it spat out the results, and, just bear in mind that when you do it, it might look a bit different. I've done this like multiple times, and every time the way ChatGPT does it, it looks different. But just bear in mind, it may look a bit different, but it should give you a good answer regardless. So what it did this time was tell me how much it would affect the open rates and engagement rates if I added 2,000 extra or 4,000 extra or 6,000 extra and so on. So here we go. Like obviously 2,000 extra on top of the, what did I put here? 32,000 profiles. That's super safe. I mean, the effect would be negligible. So we get about 59.5% open rates, and it would bring it down to like 56.6. Still great, right? It's still really good. We could add 4,000 profiles and it brings it down to 54%. It's still really, really safe. Then if you want to go on the more risky side, imagine you just got one big promotional campaign. You just want to give it a go, and then you get people who have bought like twice or 3 times, whatever your numbers are. You just want to whack them all in one time. Then maybe it's 6,000 or something. Then it goes down to 51.7%. There's a mild impact. Things do come down a bit. But remember, this is just one campaign, right? We do this anyway with the entire list, all current subscribers. Every now and again we'll blast off to all current subscribers, and it does drag down the open rates and the engagement rates. So it's really, really fine to do this every now and again. Even if it goes down to like this moderate risk. So 12,000 extra people brings it down to 46%, 1.14 click rate, whatever. I'm not really sure about those click rate estimates, but the open rate is more important to me. So it is a moderate risk for that one particular email. But again, remember, you're going to then go back to sending to all your engaged, and it's just going to, go back up. So it will be a real mild effect. So, there you go. That's how you do it. You make the segment to unsuppress people, and then, obviously download it, and then you could just split them up by 2,000, 4,000, whatever, and then just upload that as a list, and then include it in a campaign. I mean, simple as. It wouldn't take too long. And then, yeah, you could potentially engage, I don't know, 5% of these people, 10% on a good day. So, you do this regularly over the year, and you just keep re-engaging people. And then once they're re-engaged again, they go into your engaged segment, and then they start opening emails again. Hopefully, they might get re-interested in your business. They bought something, they liked it, months and months have passed, and they're like, oh yeah, I remember that business. I liked it. And then, they start engaging again. It's just a process that you do over time. All right. So I hope you like this video. Right now I'm recording this, it's Q4. So it's really, really, pertinent right now to really try and engage people. Lots and lots of emails are going around. So it's a good time to try this. If it's another time apart from Q4, just give it a go. So if you're interested in learning more about deliverability, I've left a link down below on a full mini course on how to improve or maintain or rescue your deliverability. And yeah, I've got a school group as well with a whole massive course on all the aspects of email marketing. So join that if you're interested. And yeah, other than that, I'll see you in the next one.